Right now, you know Donald Trump is facing the indictments. And the latest one, of course, from Fanni Wills about the Georgia scam to try to steal votes away from President Biden, well, from then President-elect Biden. She's going after him on the RICO statute. Now, you all know that the RICO statute was used against gangsters, against the mafia. And Christina Bobb, one of Donald Trump's attorneys, went out and said that basically Fanni Willis is going after Donald Trump like a mob boss. That she's declared the entire Maga being a mafia family. Well, let me put it this way. Let me rephrase. She's turning the Republican Party, which has become the MAGA, into a mafia family. I see the comparison. Now I'm going to read you several passages from an article I saw on this article on Salon.com. And once you hear them, you'll understand why Fanni Willis is going after Donald Trump like this on the RICO statute. Now, mind you, again, it's not just Donald Trump in this latest indictment in Georgia. She's going after 19 other people in that indictment. And trust me, you'll understand why after you hear me read this whole thing. Take a listen.
Fulton County District Attorney Fanni Willis wrapped up her case early and with a bang on Monday night, securing indictments against Donald Trump and 18 other people for conspiring to steal Georgia's electoral votes for the 2020 election. Sprawling is the favorite adjective applied to her case, which uses the state's Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, or RICO. Such laws were originally written to deal with the mafia and other organized crime syndicates and typically allow prosecutors to pull an array of conduct into their charges. Now, this is Devin Cole at CNN explaining, by painting a picture of a criminal conspiracy for a jury. It allows prosecutors to take down a mob boss, for instance, instead of just the guys who follow orders. RICO is a tool that allows a prosecutor's office and law enforcement to tell the whole story, Willis explained during her explanation of the charges. She used the RICO laws in an array of cases, from shutting down traditional gang activity to prosecuting teachers who conspired in a public school cheating scandal. So she knows exactly what she's doing. However, the Republican Party, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be calling them the Republican Party because it's no longer the Republican Party. The MAGA is angry about it, using whatever excuse they can to justify what Donald Trump and these 18 other people did. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, and Scott, I've just gotten started with you. He's challenging for the GOP presidential primary. He's saying that these indictments show, quoting him, that the legal system is being weaponized against political opponents. No, it's not. Scott, these people broke the law, and now they're being prosecuted for it. That is what the legal system is supposed to be about. He wants to turn a blind eye to what Donald Trump and his cronies did. More on that in a few minutes. Give me some time. But let's talk about the fascist Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, who also claims to be running against Trump. I'm complaining that all this amounts to, quoting him, criminalization of politics. RICO was really designed to be able to go after organized crime, not necessarily go after political activity, unquote. So stealing electoral votes in an election is, quote unquote, political activity to you, Scott, to you, DeSantis. No wonder you're losing your war against Disney. No wonder you and the rest of you idiots in Florida are just making a complete mockery of yourselves day in and day out. That's not political activity. What we see, what happened in Georgia in 2020, that is called a crime. My advice to you, DeSantis, resign from the governorship. After that statement, you know there's no chance of you becoming president, and there's no chance of you surviving being governor of Florida. And then we come to the big fish, the biggest fish in the indictment. Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York City, former America's mayor, the man who helped New York City and the entire country get through the nightmare of September 11th, 2001. The man who helped take down the mafia. I mean, let's take a look at the hit list. Well, I probably shouldn't use the phrase hit list, but let's look at the people he took down. Fat Tony Salerno, Tony Ducks, the entire Lucchese family, Carmine Jr. Pascano, the Colombo family, Paul Castellano, the Gambino family, and of course the big one, John Gotti, of the next leader of the Gambino. So he knows what he's doing, and he knows that what the RICO law has done, because as a former federal prosecutor, Rudy Giuliani knows how to do things like this. And he knows exactly why Fanni Willis is prosecuting them under the RICO statutes. Because they all conspired in a criminal conspiracy, and they're all getting charged for it. Returning to the article, it's not guys in tracksuits telling pizza joint owners to pay protection money or else, but it was Trump and his cronies telling state and local officials to fix the election for them or else. And Trump's or else was not limited to threats of political ruin. The pressure was backed up with the present threat of violence. Remember January 6th? Remember hanging Mike Pence? Do you really think they were kidding? One of the main targets of the criminal conspiracy was Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger of Georgia. Now, I'm going to quote you 2 text messages that Raffensperger got. So any of you MAGA MFers want to try to twist this video and try to do whatever you want with, trying to make me into threatening someone, nice try. But I thought I should throw that out there. Months after the end of Trump's presidency, Raffensperger's family was still getting text messages that said things like, and quoting directly from the text messages again, "We plan for the death of you and your family every day," unquote. Or suggested that a family member was, quote, "going to have a very unfortunate incident," unquote. I wish I could say that Raffensperger was the only one getting those threats. Do I need to remind you of the threats that those 2 Georgia poll workers got? That were only amplified by Rudy Giuliani? And I hope to God that those 2 women break Rudy Giuliani for everything that he's got left. Because we already got reports that he's going broke. Anyway, concluding with the article, in the life imitating art department, that falls short of Ocean's 11. But indisputably, that's something straight out of gangster activity. Maybe it would help Trump and his co-conspirators were gifted with a tabloid-ready name for their criminal syndicate. The MAGA Mafia comes to mind, or perhaps the Boat Shoe Corp, or the 5 Iron Cartel. Or maybe they should just be called the Grand Old Party. Because that's the organization that Trump has conquered, corrupted, and converted into his criminal enterprise. That's why it's so aggravating to hear Republicans disgustingly accuse the Democrats of criminalizing politics. Oh, hell no. Donald Trump did that when he made it clear that being a loyal Republican means being ready and willing to commit crimes for the boss, or at least to dishonor yourself by pretending you were looking the other way and didn't see anything.
I don't know what else needs to be said at this point. I really don't. At this point, Donald Trump is 100% guilty unless somehow he has some special evidence he was supposed to show on that press conference of his. Whatever. But into this point here, when you have people like Tim Scott and Ron DeSantis who are screaming that this is a criminalization of the Justice Department, this is a criminalization of politics. No, it's not. Donald Trump is being treated like the criminal that he is. Wouldn't you want the same thing if the crime was done to you? But the explanation, and one thing I gotta say, the explanation from Ron DeSantis is pretty damn sick to me. They're going after him because of political activity. Stealing an election is political activity, DeSantis? I could say more, but at this point, Ron DeSantis is not going to be the president of the United States, regardless of what he does. Now, he can scream all he wants, he can huff and holler all he wants, but in the end of the day, he just made an excuse for criminal activity. Donald Trump and his followers tried to steal an election. The question is, did Ron DeSantis have a hand on it? Is that what he's thinking about? Right now, Donald Trump has 4 indictments against him. He may be able to wiggle his way out of one of them. He's not going to be able to wiggle his way out of all 4 of them, not to mention all the charges against him. It's really upsetting, and it's really sad that people like Ron DeSantis have to make excuses like this. It's tantamount to a mob boss saying, he didn't do it. I don't know who he is. I never met him before in my life. But here we are. It's a shame. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.